Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now I know we're in a slightly different location today, just thought that I'd change it about for like this one video, why not? So anyway, today I'm going to be looking at this album from the band Squeeze. It is the album called Cradle to Grave. This was requested by Mathew Smith, like he asked that I look at this album. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you my vinyl copy of the album and then go over each of the album songs, giving each song a score out of 10. This was the band's 14th studio album, released on the 2nd of October in 2015. This is their latest album. This was the band's first album since 1998. That's 17 years, that's as old as I am. And not put out an album of original material. They did, I think it was in 2010, they put out an album called Spot the Difference, what I think was just like re-recordings of like the old hits, but was a little bit pointless. This is like the first album of like original stuff since 1998. And like the band members like have said, like Glenn Tilbrook and Chris Difford, that like they didn't want to like make an album what like they knew would be like inferior to like their older work from like the 70s and like early 80s, and that like they'd only make an album if like they knew that it would be among their best work, which this album certainly is. The album came about from Glenn Tilbrook basically reading Danny Baker's memoirs of growing up in like London in like the early 70s. Danny Baker is a music journalist and like radio presenter here in the UK, and like they have both like grown up in like the same area of London together. They both went to the same school, so like they wanted like to collaborate like on like a musical together, but like it didn't like quite like turn out that way. Like instead we got this album and a companion TV series, sort of like a sitcom starring Peter Kay. The album was relatively commercially successful, managed to reach number 12 on the UK albums charts, which is their highest ever album charting position in like the whole career, which I thought was pretty good. But I probably helped like along a bit like by like the success of like the TV series. I've got the vinyl edition of it here. This does come with 4 extra bonus tracks, what I will go over now. So the first one we get is a song called Hanging Around. This is a cover of an old song by Lou Reed from his Transformer album, and Chris Difford sings this song, and like this is like really like one of my favourites. It's like it's like a little bit long, but like I think it's like a cracking song and like a great cover what Squeeze do with it. We also have a song called Harper Valley PTA, again another cover, like an old sort of country song from the 60s. Another one called This Strange Effect, which is actually a Ray Davies composition, however it was never recorded by the Kinks. I think like he gave it to like another sort of 60s star, but like I've forgotten like who like exactly it was. And then finally a song, I Don't Want to Grow Up, which is a cover from a guy called Tom Waits. 1994 I believe like the original came out, so like it's like quite interesting to hear like Squeeze doing like a more like contemporary cover. So like yeah, like it's nice that like they did like chuck in like the bonus like material like on like the 4th side of this, because this is a double album. I'll just quickly show the vinyl now. Start off with the cover. I really don't like the cover. I just not the cover doesn't cut it for me. Just like all like random sort of collage thing. It's not really that nice, to be fair. Back of it there, just sort of got like the band on it and the track listing. Inside the gatefold here, the gatefold I think is pretty nice there, just sort of them crossing a level crossing, sort of bit sort of copycat like Abbey Road thing, but like yeah, that's pretty cool. And then the inner sleeves here, I do like the inner sleeves design, very sort of colourful design, sort of fits in like with like the album. It's quite a happy album to listen to this, so sort of the colourful sleeves and labels make sense. Really like the record label designs, and sort of all like different colours. So this is a double vinyl. You get 4 songs per side, and like this sounds great. The vinyl like really sounds fantastic. Here is the other inner sleeve here, just pictures of the band members. I believe the only 2 original members are Glenn Tilbrook and Chris Difford. All like the other members who like are working on this album like were just brought in like for this album, or like I think they've been going for like a couple of years before this as a touring band, but this is like the first like album like what like they made together, like as like I said before, the first album since 1998. Right, so I'm now just going to go over all of the album's tracks. First song up is called Cradle to the Grave, and I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. I think it's a good, decent, catchy, sort of like Glenn Tilbrook's playing that ukulele like on like this, and I quite like an interesting and like sort of like different sound what they get on like this song. But for me, like it's maybe like a little bit too like associated with like the TV series. Like this was like what was played at like the start credits, and like for me it works much better like as like sort of like a theme song, which like maybe makes like if like you just listen to this like as a song, it maybe seems like a little bit corny and like a little bit cheesy, but like overall it is like a good decent track, but for me isn't like a favourite of mine.
She kept a little journal.
Then the second track up is called Nirvana, and this is one of my favourites from the album. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Quite a quirky sounding song this here. We've got a bit of like sitar like in the mix, like it's set to like sort of like a disco beat. Really like interesting sounds, and like that's something like throughout this album, like the band, they're really like experimenting with like different sounds and different styles, which I think is like really cool. Again, this song has a solid chorus, and like overall like it's a really nice song, sort of got like nice strings in it, and like yeah, one of my favourites from the album.
As time goes by, I search with a figure. The days we...
Now then we get third track up is called The Beautiful Game. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Quite like a nostalgic song. Like a lot of like the stuff on this album like is very like nostalgic and wistful, sort of like talking about like the childhood and like growing up. So this one is like about being like a fan of football, like being in like sort of like a youth team and like sort of like supporting football. Great lyrics like on like this track for me, and like classic squeeze harmonies with like Chris Difford singing like a octave below Glenn Tilbrook. Really nice, but like for me, reason why it's not like a 9 or like even like a 10 out of 10 is like the song itself is just a little bit like, it's not really like energetic. It's quite like a sort of like slow track, and like doesn't really go like anywhere for me, but like overall it is decent.
Happy days in the haze of summer.
Now the closing song to side 1 is the single from the album, song called Happy Days, and I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Another great little song, but for me it's maybe a little bit cheesy, a little bit sort of like it's like very happy song, very sort of positive about life. And like sort of like we're gonna take like a holiday by like the rolling sea, it's gonna be the perfect summer, that sort of stuff. But similar to like the title song for me, a little bit cheesy, a little bit corny. It's not like the type of song I would like want to be like caught listening to, if like you get what like I'm saying. Like it's a little bit like all like sort of like a guilty pleasure sort of style song. But like overall, like it is like a nice track. But for me, it's also like a little bit long as well. It goes on for about 4 minutes, this track, and there really isn't 4 minutes worth of like songwriting material like on this song. It just sort of seems to like, go like on and on like the coda to this one. Opening up to side 2 is a song called Open, and I really like this song, giving this a 9 out of 10. Sort of like supposed to be like a wedding is like what I get from like the lyrics for this one here. Lovely production on this one, really like flowing production, and like yeah, like one of my favourites from the album.
You're only 15, you must be in by 9.
Next song is called Only 15, and like again like another decent track, sort of about like being like young and like attending parties, and like very autobiographical lyrics to this one here, and like sort of like your parents saying, oh no, like you must be like in by 9, like those sort of like lyrics to it. But like overall I like the song, but it's nothing too special for me.
School was a prison where I served my time.
Then we get the track Top of the Form, giving this another 7 out of 10. This is probably the most pessimistic song like on the album. Like most like the songs here, like as I've said, are like quite like upbeat and like positive about like youth and like growing up. But this one here like is quite pessimistic. Talk about like school and like I think like that. Like I think like the first line on this is that school is a prison where I serve my time. So like very like pessimistic and like sort of like a scornful look at like his school days. But like it is like a nice sort of like change of pace like halfway through like this song here, like sort of like goes like a slightly different direction, which I really like. So yeah, like a 7 out of 10 for this song.
I rode my bike along the towpath Asked all the cranes up.
And then the closer to side 2 is a song called Sunny, and this is another favourite of mine. Really quirky like arrangements just in it, sort of like it's mostly just strings on this track here. So like the string track reminds me like a little bit of like the Beatles' Eleanor Rigby. And like the lyrics just in it are like again nostalgic about finding like a love of like music and like gaining like a passion in that and like learning to play like an instrument. Really like relatable lyrics for me, and like overall love this song. I think it's great.
My hormones have gone haywire.
Now the opening song on side 3 is a song called Haywire. Give this an 8 out of 10, and this is a decent song. Again, lyrics listen though are like a little bit again like quite quirky lyrics, sort of like about like sort of like a young boy like sort of finding like. It seems like a magazine of like sort of like a sexy lady in it, and like he's sort of like feeling like sort of like feelings inside him like what he's not felt before. Maybe this is like a little bit too much like information for me, but like overall like it is like a good decent quirky track, and like lyrics are like pretty like interesting as well.
The closest that I got to smart when I was walking.
Next one up is called Honey Trap, and giving this a 7 out of 10. This one starts off like very like contemporary sound and sort of with like electronics on it, which I think is like really cool. Again, experimenting like on this album, not just sticking to like the usual sort of like squeeze formula. Now like overall like it's a decent song, but it's maybe just like a little bit forgettable. Like I'm trying to like regurgitate it like in like my mind of like what it goes like. But I just can't remember it. Like it's not like a very like memorable song for me.
A slice of every day, a piece of everything.
Then we get the song Everything, another 7 out of 10 for me. Another one that isn't like too memorable, doesn't stick in like your mind as much, but like of like what like when I was taking notes, like it's like a slower like acoustic number. Again, like a nice change of pace like for the album, but like again like a rather like uninspired melody like on this one was what I picked up on, like the tune to this one like I didn't think much of. But like overall like it's an easy listening song, and like it's like it passes over quickly.
In a duffel coat by the garden fence.
Right, and now the closer to the album is a song called Snap, Crackle and Pop. Strange title, I know, and like again this is a 7 out of 10. Well like forgettable track for me. Like it's okay, but like it's not like it's not like one of like my favourites. Right, so now that's me going over this album's 12 songs. Like as I mentioned earlier, the fourth side is just like bonus material, just like a couple of like cover songs that went over earlier like in this video. So overall this album would score a 76%, which I think is like a great score for it. And for me there's no like bad songs in it, like actually like it's a very consistent album. But like there isn't like any like real like standout songs what like compare with like Squeeze's best work from like the 70s and early 80s. Like it starts off pretty good, we have like a lot of like great songs like Nirvana, Beautiful Game, Open and Sunny. I think are all terrific. But for me like it maybe like starts like go like a little bit downhill like on like side C. We have a couple of like slightly more like forgettable songs and like more like sort of like average sort of like Squeeze material. But so overall this is like a great album. It certainly shows that like Difford and Tilbrook can like still write great songs when like they want to. Like, and this is probably like my third favourite album from 2015. So yeah, pretty good overall I'd say. So I hope you have enjoyed. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Again, if there are any albums you would like to see me review, please leave them in the comments below. Also, if you've heard this album, I'd be interested to know what you think. And I will see you all next time for my next review. Goodbye.
In the morning, I would wake up, the guitar beside my bed, a touch.